Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled. We're diving deep into Iranian philosophical thought.
Specifically, the mystical poetry and teachings of Rumi.
Just a quick reminder, as always, what you're hearing is a translation.
Conversations with Iranian philosophers.
So while we do our best to convey all the nuances, some details may not be fully captured.
We do apologize for any discrepancies.
But that's part of what makes exploring these ideas so fascinating.
Absolutely.
And we are on episode 9.
Out of 40 dedicated to Rumi.
So buckle up. We've got a lot more ground to cover.
Indeed. We are just beginning to unravel the intricate tapestry of Rumi's wisdom.
Okay, so let's unpack one of Rumi's ideas about prayer.
That Dr. Dinani brought up.
He suggested that simply wanting something from God is beautiful in itself.
Right.
Now, to me, this is a little counterintuitive. I mean, God is often described as this all-powerful being who lacks nothing. So why would our desires matter?
Well, what's fascinating here is the shift in focus from what we want to the act of wanting itself. When we yearn for something from God, we acknowledge our dependence on a higher power. We're acknowledging that we are not self-sufficient. Which, as Dr. Dinani points out, is a humbling
and essential
step
on the spiritual path.
On any spiritual path,
So it's less about God needing our desires, more about us recognizing our own limitations.
Exactly. It's an act of surrender, of recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that we need something beyond ourselves.
It's almost like that moment when a child realizes they need their parents' help.
Precisely. And Dr. Dinani connects this beautifully to the Sufi practice of dhikr. You know, for our listeners who might not be familiar. Dhikr is more than just repeating words. It's about cultivating a feeling of connection to the divine throughout your day.
So like a background hum of awareness. I can see how that links to the idea of prayer being about cultivating a connection rather than just reciting a wish list.
Exactly. It's about that constant state of remembrance. Of turning our attention towards the divine. Even in the midst of our everyday lives.
That makes me think about those times when it feels like our prayers aren't being answered. You know, you pour your heart out, but nothing seems to change. It can be pretty disheartening.
Absolutely.
What did Dr. Dinani have to say about those moments?
Well, he shared a story that really resonated with me. A man complained that his prayers were never answered, and a wise person replied, "Your lamenting and pain and burning is our messenger."
So even our frustration is a form of communication?
I think so,
I've definitely felt that way before, like, hello, God. Are you listening? But this idea that even that feeling is part of the process, it's actually kind of reassuring.
Absolutely.
So what's key here?
Is the sincerity of our yearning.
Not necessarily the outcome.
Not necessarily the outcome, right? Dr. Dinani points out that even the act of acknowledging our poverty before God's richness is a form of prayer. It's about recognizing the vast difference between our limited human perspective and the infinite nature of the divine.
So we come to God with empty cups.
Yes.
Acknowledging our need for his grace and guidance.
Yes.
That makes me think about Rumi's use of tears in his poetry.
Right.
I'm curious, what's the significance there?
Well, Dr. Dinani explains that tears represent a breaking down of the ego. A turning away from material attachments and toward God.
So it's like
it's a purification.
Those tears wash away the barriers we've built up, those layers of pride and self-sufficiency, allowing us to connect on a deeper level.
Precisely.
There's a beautiful verse that captures this.
There is.
Wherever there is flowing water, there is greenery. Whatever there are flowing tears, there is mercy.
Beautiful.
That's a powerful image.
It is.
Those tears, like water, nourish the soul, allowing compassion and grace to flourish within us.
Right.
It makes sense. Because often it's in those moments of vulnerability, when our defenses are down, that we feel most open to the divine.
It is about that softening of the heart, that humility that allows us to receive divine grace.
So we've talked about wanting tears. Recognizing our limitations. But what about the things we actually ask for in prayer? What did Dr. Dinani say was the greatest request we can make?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He said that for him, the greatest request is to increase in sincerity and truthfulness.
That's not what I would have expected.
Right.
I usually think of praying for health, wealth, success, those kinds of things.
Sure.
Why sincerity and truthfulness?
Because, as Dr. Dinani explains, sincerity aligns our inner and outer worlds. It's the foundation for all other virtues. Okay. It's the starting point for real transformation.
So it's not just about getting what we want.
Right.
It's about refining our character.
It is about refining our character.
Becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts those things.
Yes.
Because our inner world is in harmony with our desires.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's not about achieving some perfect state.
Right.
It's an ongoing process of becoming more genuine, more authentic in everything we do.
That's a pretty tall order.
It is.
It makes you think about how you're showing up in the world.
Right.
Whether your actions actually reflect your beliefs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a key takeaway here.
I agree.
Rumi is challenging us to go beyond the surface level of prayer, to move beyond just asking for things, and to focus on cultivating those inner qualities that lead to true fulfillment.
To true fulfillment, exactly.
It's about becoming a conduit for those qualities, allowing love, compassion, and wisdom to flow through us and into the world.
Precisely.
Now, this shift in focus from external desires to internal transformation can have a profound impact on every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely.
From our relationships to our work to our sense of purpose.
To our sense of purpose, exactly.
You know, it's interesting because Dr. Larijani had a fascinating take on how this shift can change how we experience Rumi's poetry itself.
Okay.
He suggested that instead of getting bogged down in analyzing every word, we should approach Rumi's poetry like a love song to the divine.
Feel it, not overthink it.
I love that.
Yes.
It's like listening to music.
Yes.
You don't need to understand every note or chord to feel the impact. It's about letting the beauty and wisdom of Rumi's words penetrate our hearts and minds, allowing them to inspire us on our own spiritual journeys.
Inspiring us, yes.
Now, this idea of connecting with the divine through poetry might seem abstract to some.
Right.
But Dr. Dinani actually highlighted a very concrete concept that relates to prayer.
Right.
The significance of the nighttime.
Okay.
And I don't just mean the quiet or stillness. He offered a more metaphysical explanation.
He did.
Yeah.
He delves into the concept of tanazul, or descent.
Descent, okay.
He explains that during the night, things move from the realm of the unseen, the formless, into the realm of the seen, the formed.
Okay, so it's not just about the sun setting.
No, it's more than that.
It's like the night itself is a time when the divine blueprint, the unmanifested potential, takes shape.
Takes shape, yes.
In the material world.
Precisely. And he even says the Quran descended during the night, meaning that the divine word, that source of guidance and wisdom, also came into being during this time of descent.
Okay, that's fascinating.
It is.
So the night isn't just about sleep.
It's not.
It's a time of creation, of manifestation, of divine energy flowing into the world.
Flowing into the world, right.
And it's contrasted with the concept of ascent, which is associated with the daytime.
With the daytime, yes.
Okay.
So during the day, things move back towards their origin, back to the divine realm.
Okay, so we have this cycle.
We do.
Descent into the material world during the night.
Yes.
And then ascent back towards the divine during the day. It's like a cosmic dance.
It is, like a dance.
A constant interplay between the seen and unseen, the manifest and unmanifest.
The manifest and unmanifest, exactly.
And we participate in that dance every day.
We do.
Whether we realize it or not.
Whether we realize it or not.
We move between states of wakefulness and sleep.
Right.
Of activity and rest. Of expansion and contraction.
Of expansion and contraction, yes.
It's the natural rhythm of life.
It's the rhythm, yes.
This makes me think about spiritual practice.
Okay.
We have times for prayer and meditation.
Right.
Times for service and action. Times for reflection and introspection.
Yes.
It's all part of that rhythm.
It is.
That balance between our inner and outer worlds.
Exactly.
It's about finding that harmony, that flow between the spiritual and the material, the seen and the unseen.
The seen and the unseen, exactly.
Now, this idea of the night representing the unseen reminds me of something else Dr. Dinani mentioned.
Okay.
This concept of Gabe.
Yes, Gabe.
What is Gabe?
Gabe refers to the realm of the unseen.
Okay.
The unknown.
Okay.
That which is beyond our comprehension.
Okay.
It's the mystery of God. The mysteries of the universe. Those things that we can't fully grasp with our limited human minds.
So how do we engage with this Gabe?
That's a good question.
Realm of the unknown.
Yeah.
Does Dr. Dinani offer any guidance on that?
He suggests that by embracing the Gabe, by surrendering to the unknown, we open ourselves to a whole new realm of possibilities. It's like stepping into the darkness with faith and trust, knowing that we are being guided even when we can't see the path clearly.
That takes courage, doesn't it?
It does.
To let go of our need to control.
Right.
To understand. To have all the answers.
It can be challenging.
But it's also incredibly liberating.
It is liberating,
Because when we surrender to the Gabe, we release those burdens of ego, of self-importance, of thinking we have to figure everything out on our own.
Exactly.
We open ourselves to a power that's far greater than our own limited understanding.
Yes, a power beyond our comprehension.
And this openness, this willingness to embrace the unknown, it's essential for spiritual growth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because true growth requires us to step outside of our comfort zone, to venture into the darkness with a sense of wonder and curiosity, knowing that even when we can't see the path clearly, we're being guided towards our highest potential.
Towards our highest potential, exactly.
A trust fall with the universe.
It is.
A leap of faith.
A leap of faith into the unknown.
Into the unknown.
Yes.
What about those times when we feel lost or disoriented on that journey?
Yeah.
Does Dr. Dinani offer any advice?
He does.
For those moments?
He does. He emphasizes that those moments of darkness, those challenges and setbacks, they're all part of the process. They're the fire that refines the gold, helping us to grow, learn, and become stronger and more resilient.
Yeah, it's like those times when you're hiking through a dense forest and you can't see the trail anymore.
Right.
You might feel lost and uncertain.
Yeah.
But if you trust your intuition and keep moving forward, you'll eventually find your way.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And in those moments of uncertainty, it's crucial to remember that we're not alone. We have that divine spark within us, guiding and supporting us every step of the way.
And we also have Rumi's poetry.
Yes.
Which can be a source of solace and inspiration when we need it most.
Absolutely.
His words are like signposts along the path, reminding us of the beauty and wisdom that are always present, even when we can't see them clearly.
Even when we can't see them clearly, yes.
You know, I think one of the things that makes Rumi's work so powerful is that he's not afraid to challenge our conventional ways of thinking. He invites us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to embrace the mystery of existence.
To embrace the mystery, absolutely.
Absolutely, like he's constantly pulling the rug out from under us.
Forcing us to confront our own limitations. And to open ourselves to new possibilities.
To new possibilities, exactly.
For example, earlier we were talking about how Rumi challenges our understanding of prayer. We often approach prayer from a place of wanting, of asking for things. But Rumi suggests that even in our wanting, we're already connected to the divine source of fullness.
We're already connected, yes.
And he also challenges our understanding of the night.
Yes, he does.
We tend to see night as a time for sleep, for escape, for shutting down.
Like shutting down,
But Rumi presents it as a time of creation.
Of creation, yes.
Of descent.
Of descent, exactly.
Of embracing the unknown.
Embracing the unknown. And surrendering to the mystery of existence.
It's a different perspective.
It's like he's flipping the script on everything we thought we knew.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes his work so relevant.
And so inspiring.
And so inspiring even centuries after his death. He's speaking to those deeper longings of the human heart. That yearning for connection, for meaning, for something that transcends the limitations.
Of our everyday.
Of our everyday experience.
And he's not offering easy answers.
No.
Or quick fixes.
He's not.
He's inviting us on a journey of self-discovery. A journey of transformation.
Of transformation, yes.
A journey that requires us to confront our fears.
To confront our fears.
To embrace our shadows.
To embrace our shadows, right?
And to open ourselves to the possibility of becoming something more than we ever imagined possible.
Becoming more, yes.
You know, speaking of guidance.
Okay.
Dr. Dinani had some fascinating insights on how guidance can show up in our lives.
Okay.
He challenged the notion that it always comes in the form of clear instructions or specific directions.
Not always.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But sometimes the teacher shows up in unexpected ways.
In unexpected ways, yes.
Yeah.
He talked about how guidance can sometimes be a subtle nudge, a feeling, an intuition.
It's like a whisper in the wind.
It is.
A gentle tap on the shoulder. A knowing in your gut that you can't quite explain.
You can't quite explain, yeah.
He used a beautiful analogy
of
a gardener tending to a plant. He said a gardener doesn't force a plant to grow in a particular direction.
Doesn't force it?
No. Instead, the garden provides the right conditions: soil, sunlight, water, and then allows the plant to grow naturally.
Allows it to grow naturally, exactly.
So it's about creating an environment where we're receptive to guidance, where we're open to possibility.
Open to possibilities, yeah.
Where we're paying attention to those subtle cues and synchronicities that are always guiding us in the right direction.
Always guiding us, yeah.
Precisely.
And this requires a certain level of trust. Trust in ourselves. Trust in the process. And trust in that higher power. That's always guiding and supporting us.
It's like we have to loosen our grip, surrender our need to control, and allow ourselves to be led.
Yes.
By something greater than our limited human minds.
By something greater, exactly.
Now, of course, Dr. Dinani also emphasized the importance of discernment.
Of discernment, yes.
It's not enough to simply be open to guidance.
Not enough, no.
We also need to be able to discern between true guidance and the voices of our ego, our fears, or our limiting beliefs.
Or our limiting beliefs, right?
That's a really important point.
It is.
Because sometimes those voices can be pretty loud.
They can.
And persuasive. Disguised as intuition. Or even divine inspiration.
Even divine inspiration, yeah.
So how do we cultivate that discernment?
It's a good question.
How do we learn to distinguish between the voice of intuition and the voice of the ego?
Well, Dr. Dinani suggested that one of the best ways to develop discernment is through spiritual practice. Practices like meditation, contemplation, and prayer help us to quiet the mind, connect with our inner wisdom. They help us become more attuned to those subtle whispers of the soul.
It's like training our inner ear to hear those subtle frequencies, those intuitive nudges that are always guiding us in the right direction.
Always guiding us, yes.
And as we deepen our practice, we become more sensitive to those cues.
More sensitive.
More attuned to the energy of different situations and people.
To the energy, right.
It becomes easier to sense what's in alignment with our highest good and what's not.
And what's not, exactly.
And Dr. Dinani also emphasized the importance of paying attention to our feelings.
To our feelings, yeah.
He said our feelings can be valuable indicators of whether we're on the right track or not.
He said if something feels expansive, joyful, and aligned with our values, it's likely a sign we're moving in the right direction. But if something feels constricted, heavy, or out of alignment, it might be a sign we need to pause and reassess.
So it's about tuning in to our bodies, to our heart, and trusting those intuitive feelings that often arise before we can fully articulate them with our minds.
Before we can articulate them, yes.
It's like that gut feeling that tells you something's not right.
Right.
Even if you can't explain why.
Even if you can't explain why,
Precisely.
And this brings us to another important aspect of guidance, the role of mentors and teachers. Because sometimes we need a little extra support on the journey.
We do.
We need someone who can offer a different perspective, who can challenge us to grow, and who can help us to see our blind spots.
Dr. Dinani emphasized that true mentors don't dictate or control.
They don't.
But rather empower and inspire us.
Empower and inspire.
You find our own way.
Find our own way, right?
They're like Sherpas guiding us through the treacherous terrain of the spiritual journey.
Guiding us, yeah.
Helping us to navigate the obstacles.
Right.
And reminding us of the beauty and wonder that await us at the summit.
That await us at the summit, exactly.
And it's important to remember that mentors can come in many forms.
They can?
They might be spiritual teachers, therapists,
right? Yeah.
Friends,
family members,
or even authors and artists.
Authors and artists, yes.
Whose work resonates deeply with us.
Whose work resonates, exactly.
It's about finding those people or resources that inspire us.
That inspire us, huh?
That challenge us to grow.
That challenge us, right?
And that help us to connect more deeply with our own inner wisdom.
With our inner wisdom, exactly.
And being open to the possibility that guidance can come from unexpected sources.
From unexpected sources, absolutely.
It might come in the form of a chance encounter.
It might.
A synchronistic event. A dream.
A dream.
Or even a song on the radio.
A song on the radio, right?
That speaks directly to our soul.
That speaks to our soul, exactly.
It's about being awake, aware, and receptive to the signs and symbols that the universe is constantly sending our way.
To the signs and symbols, yes.
You know, I'm really appreciating how this conversation about guidance is weaving together so many different threads. Spiritual practice.
Right.
Intuition.
Intuition, yes.
Discernment.
Discernment,
The role of mentors.
The role of mentors, right.
And the importance of being open to the unexpected.
The unexpected, exactly.
It's a reminder that guidance is not a one-size-fits-all concept.
It's not one-size-fits-all.
It's a dynamic, evolving process that unfolds uniquely for each individual.
Uniquely for each individual, yes.
And it's a process that requires us to be active participants.
Active participants, right.
Not passive recipients of guidance.
We're not passive.
We're co-creators of our own journey.
We're co-creators, exactly. Yeah. And as we become more attuned to those subtle whispers of guidance, our lives become more aligned with our purpose, our potential, and our deepest desires.
With our deepest desires,
Speaking of aligning with our deepest desires,
okay.
Dr. Larijani had some really intriguing thoughts on the concept of the intoxicated self.
Okay.
And it made me think about how we define self-awareness.
Oh, yes, the intoxicated self.
Intoxicated self, yes.
That sounds like a fascinating concept.
It is.
It makes me think of someone who's lost control.
Okay.
Maybe even a little bit reckless. But I have a feeling that's not what Dr. Larijani was getting at.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's actually about a shift in consciousness.
Okay.
But it's not about losing control. It's more about surrendering to a higher power.
Okay.
Allowing ourselves to be guided by something greater than our limited ego selves.
So it's like a state of ecstatic union with the divine.
Yes.
A kind of spiritual intoxication.
Spiritual intoxication,
Where we transcend our ordinary sense of self.
Right.
And merge with something much vaster.
Much vaster, yeah.
And more
expansive, exactly.
Okay.
And Dr. Larijani explained that this state of intoxication is not something we can achieve through willpower or effort.
Okay.
It's a gift,
Well,
a grace that's bestowed upon us when we surrender to the divine will.
So it's about letting go of our need to control, to understand.
To understand.
To figure everything out.
To figure everything out, right?
Instead, we open ourselves to the possibility of being guided, supported,
yes.
And loved by something beyond our comprehension.
Beyond our comprehension, exactly.
That takes a lot of trust, doesn't it? It does.
Trust that we're being taken care of.
Taken care of, yeah.
Even when we can't see the bigger picture.
Even when we can't see the bigger picture, right?
And it can be a scary proposition for a lot of people.
It can be scary, yes.
But it can also be incredibly liberating.
It can also be liberating,
Because when we surrender to that higher power, we release those burdens of ego.
The burdens of ego?
The anxieties of self-importance.
The anxiety.
And the limitations of our own limited perspective.
And the limitations, exactly.
It's like we're stepping off a cliff. And trusting that we'll be given wings to fly.
Trusting that we'll be given wings to fly, yes.
And Dr. Larijani pointed out that this state of intoxication is often reflected in Rumi's poetry, which is full of imagery.
Full of imagery, yeah.
Of wine.
Of wine,
Drunkenness.
Drunkenness.
And ecstatic union with the beloved.
With the beloved, yes.
Yes, now that you mention it, I remember those themes.
The imagery of wine.
Right.
As a symbol of divine love.
As a symbol, yes.
The drunkenness as a metaphor for spiritual ecstasy.
We're spiritual ecstasy.
And the beloved, of course, representing the divine.
Representing the divine, exactly.
It's like Rumi is using this language of intoxication to point to a realm of experience that's beyond the reach of our ordinary mind.
Beyond the reach, yes.
Exactly.
And those metaphors, those poetic images, they can help us to access those deeper states of consciousness, those realms of experience that lie beyond the limits of language and logic.
So it's not about trying to intellectualize or analyze Rumi's poetry.
It's not about analyzing, no.
But about allowing ourselves to be swept away.
To be swept away, yes.
By the beauty.
The beauty,
the passion.
The passion, right.
And the ecstasy of his words.
The ecstasy of his words, exactly.
It's about letting his poetry awaken those dormant parts of ourselves. Those aspects of our being.
Right.
That long for connection.
That long for connection, yeah.
For transcendence.
For transcendence,
For union with the divine.
For union with the divine, yes.
Now, this concept of the intoxicated self might seem a bit abstract.
Okay.
Or otherworldly.
Otherworldly, yeah.
But I think it has some really practical implications.
Okay.
For how we live our lives.
For how we live our lives,
Because if we can cultivate this state of surrender,
right.
This willingness to let go of our need to control.
To let go, yeah.
It can free us up to experience life more fully.
More fully,
More deeply.
More authentic.
More authentically, exactly.
It's not about escaping reality.
It's not about escaping.
It's not about experiencing reality more fully.
It is about experiencing it more fully, yes.
It's about seeing the world through the lens of love.
Through the lens of love. Recognizing the divine spark.
Recognizing the spark.
In every being.
In every being, right?
And experiencing the interconnectedness of all things.
The interconnectedness, exactly.
It's about living from a place of joy.
Of joy, yeah.
Gratitude and surrender.
And surrender.
Allowing ourselves to be guided by that inner wisdom.
By that inner wisdom, exactly.
That knows the way.
That knows the way, yeah.
And as we cultivate this state of intoxication, we become more radiant reflections of the divine light.
More radiant, yes.
Inspiring and uplifting others.
Inspiring and uplifting, right?
Through our presence.
Through our presence,
Our actions.
Our actions, yeah.
And our words.
And our words, exactly.
We become walking embodiments of Rumi's poetry.
Walking embodiments, yes.
Radiating that same love.
That same love. Beauty and wisdom that he so eloquently expresses in his verses.
That he expresses, exactly.
This reminds me of something Dr. Dinani talked about regarding a specific time of year that holds great spiritual significance in Islam.
The month of Ramadan.
The month of Ramadan, yes.
He focused specifically on the meaning of the phrase Laylat al-Qadr, or the night of power.
The night of power, yes.
I've heard of this night, but I'm not very familiar with its meaning.
Sure.
Does he explain what makes it so special?
He explains that the word Qadr means measure or destiny.
Okay.
So this night is called the night of power.
Yeah.
Because it's a time when our destinies are determined for the coming year.
That sounds intense.
It does sound intense, yes.
So it's like everything hangs in the balance of this one night.
Well, he emphasizes that this determination isn't about a fixed, predetermined fate.
Okay.
It's more about the alignment of our intentions, our actions, and our relationship with the divine.
So it's like a cosmic reset button.
It is.
A chance to realign ourselves.
A chance to realign, yes.
With our highest purpose.
With our highest purpose.
And set our course for the year ahead.
And set our course, exactly.
And he explains that this alignment happens through prayer.
Through prayer, yes.
Reflection.
Acts of service. Acts of service, right.
And deepening our connection with the divine.
And deepening our connection, exactly.
It's not a passive process.
It's not passive.
But an active engagement.
Active engagement, yes.
With the divine.
With the divine.
A conscious choice to align ourselves with the forces of good.
With the forces of good, yes.
Love. And wisdom.
And wisdom, right?
So it's not just about hoping for a favorable destiny.
It's not just about hoping, no.
It's about taking responsibility for our choices
and actions.
And aligning them with our deepest values and aspirations.
Aspirations, exactly.
And he also emphasizes that the night of power isn't limited.
It's not limited, no.
To a specific date on the calendar.
A specific date, right?
It's more of a state of consciousness.
A state of consciousness, yes.
A way of being in the world that we can cultivate. Throughout the year.
Throughout the year, exactly.
So it's about living our lives with intention.
With intention, yes.
Purpose.
Purpose.
And a deep awareness of our connection to the divine.
And a deep awareness, right?
It's about recognizing that every moment holds the potential for greatness.
Every moment, yeah.
For creating positive change.
For creating change,
And for manifesting our dreams.
And for manifesting our dreams, exactly.
He shared a beautiful analogy.
He did.
To illustrate this point. He said that just as a seed contains the potential for a mighty tree.
Right.
So too does every moment contain the potential for greatness.
Every moment.
It's about nurturing those seeds of potential.
Nurturing those seeds,
Watering them with our intention.
With our intention, yeah.
Effort.
Right. And faith.
And faith, exactly. And allowing them to blossom into something beautiful and meaningful.
Into something beautiful, yes.
Like we're all gardeners.
It is.
Tending to the gardens of our lives.
The gardens of our lives.
And each moment is an opportunity to plant new seeds.
To plant new seeds, yeah.
To cultivate what we've already sown.
Oh, to cultivate.
And to witness the miraculous unfolding of life.
The miraculous unfolding, exactly.
And this process of nurturing,
yes,
of allowing those seeds to grow is ongoing.
It is ongoing, yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight.
It's not overnight, no.
It requires patience.
Patience,
Perseverance.
Perseverance, yes.
And a deep trust in the process.
And a deep trust, exactly.
That's such an important reminder.
It is.
Especially in a world that often prioritizes instant gratification.
Instant gratification, right.
We want to see results immediately.
We do.
But true growth, true transformation takes time.
True transformation takes time, yes.
Yeah. And this journey of growth and transformation is not always easy.
It's not always easy, no.
There will be challenges.
Challenges,
Setbacks.
Yeah.
And moments of doubt along the way.
Moments of doubt, right?
Those moments when we feel like giving up, when the weeds of doubt and fear threaten to choke out the delicate seedlings.
The delicate seedlings, of our hopes and dreams.
Of our hopes and dreams, exactly.
But it's through those challenges that we learn.
We do. We grow on.
And we become stronger.
And we become stronger, yes.
They're the fire that refines the gold.
The fire that refines the gold.
The storms that test the roots of our being.
That test the roots, exactly.
And in those moments of difficulty, it's important to remember that we're not alone.
We're not alone, no.
We have that divine spark within us.
We do.
Guiding and supporting us every step of the way.
Every step of the way, yes.
And we also have Rumi's poetry.
Right.
Which can offer solace, inspiration.
Inspiration, yeah.
And encouragement when we need it most.
And encouragement, exactly.
The words are like a balm for the soul.
The balm for the soul, yeah.
Reminding us of the beauty.
Of the beauty,
The love.
The love, right. And the wisdom that lie at the heart of existence.
At the heart of existence, exactly.
You know, speaking of Rumi's poetry, Dr. Larijani shared some beautiful insights on the transformative power of relationships.
Of relationships.
And it made me think about how companionship plays a role in this spiritual journey.
It's a good question.
I'm eager to hear more about this. Because I think we often underestimate the importance of relationships.
Right.
We tend to focus on individual growth.
Yeah.
On our own personal journeys.
On our own journeys,
But I have a feeling that Rumi might have a different perspective.
He might.
Yeah.
He does.
Okay.
Dr. Larijani explained that true companionship is not just about finding people who make us feel good.
Or who fulfill our needs. It's about recognizing the divine spark in each other and supporting each other on our journeys of growth and evolution.
So it's about seeing beyond the surface, beyond the ego.
Beyond the ego, yes.
To that essence of love and light.
To that essence.
That resides within each of us.
That resides, exactly.
It's about honoring each other's paths.
Honoring each other's paths, right?
Even if they look different from our own.
Even if they look different, yeah.
Exactly.
And he emphasized that true companions are those who challenge us to grow, who hold us accountable. And who inspire us to become the best versions of ourselves.
To become the best versions, yes.
They're like mirrors. Reflecting back to us both our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah.
Helping us to see ourselves more clearly. And to grow into our full potential.
And sometimes that reflection can be uncomfortable, right?
It can be uncomfortable, yeah.
Because it might show us aspects of ourselves.
That we'd rather not see.
That we'd rather not see, yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's in those moments of discomfort. Those moments of honesty and vulnerability. That true growth and transformation can occur.
It's like those times when a close friend tells you something you don't want to hear, but you know deep down they're right.
They're right, yeah.
It might sting at first, expert speaker.
It might sting, but ultimately it helps you to see yourself more clearly.
And to make changes that align you with your highest good.
Exactly. And Dr. Larijani also talked about the importance of reciprocity and companionship.
Okay.
It's not just about receiving support,
right,
but also about giving it freely and generously.
It's a two-way street.
A two-way street, yes.
A dynamic exchange of love, energy, and wisdom.
Of love, energy, and wisdom.
It's about showing up for each other.
Right.
Offering support without judgment.
Without judgment, yeah.
And celebrating each other's victories, big and small.
And celebrating victories, exactly.
And he explained that this kind of reciprocal companionship can be incredibly transformative.
Incredibly transformative, yes.
It can help us to heal old wounds.
To heal old wounds.
To release limiting beliefs.
To release beliefs, right?
And to step into our power more fully.
And to step into our power, yes.
It's like we create a sacred space.
A sacred space.
A container of love and support.
A container, yeah.
Where we can safely explore the depths of our being.
Right.
And emerge transformed.
And emerge transformed, exactly.
And he also emphasized that companionship isn't limited to human relationships.
It's not limited, no.
We can also find companionship with nature.
With nature,
Animals.
Art.
Art, yeah.
Music,
And even with the divine.
Even with the divine, yes.
It's about expanding our circle of compassion.
Expanding our circle.
To include all beings.
To include all beings.
Recognizing that we're all interconnected.
Interconnected, yes.
And part of a vast web of life.
And part of a vast web, exactly.
And that brings us back to the concept of Fana, doesn't it?
It does.
The annihilation of the self.
Right.
The recognition that we're not separate.
We're not separate, no.
From the divine source.
From the divine source.
Of all love and unity.
Of all love and unity, exactly.
Precisely.
Companionship, in its truest form, is a reflection of that unity.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the divine spark in each other and coming together to celebrate that shared essence.
Okay.
It's about creating a world where love, compassion, and understanding are the guiding principles.
Okay.
Where we support each other on our journeys of growth and evolution.
Yeah.
And where we recognize that we're all in this together, walking each other home.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
It's like we're all on a pilgrimage, and the companions we meet along the way help us to stay on track.
Yeah.
To offer support when we stumble.
To offer support. And to remind us of the destination. And to remind us,
sometimes the most profound companionships aren't the ones that last a lifetime.
Right.
But those that touch our hearts and transform us.
Touch our hearts.
In a particular moment.
In a particular moment, exactly.
You know, as we talk about this, I'm realizing that companionship is not just a nice to have.
It's essential.
It's essential for our well-being.
For our well-being,
For our growth.
For our growth, yes.
And for our spiritual evolution.
And for our evolution, exactly.
We're social creatures by nature.
We
thrive in connection.
In connection, yeah.
In community.
In community,
In relationships.
In relationships, yeah.
That nourish and inspire us.
That nourish and inspire, exactly.
As we cultivate those relationships, those connections, we become more resilient.
Resilient, yes.
More compassionate.
Or compassionate.
And more capable of making a positive impact on the world.
And more capable, exactly.
We become the kind of companions that Rumi describes. The kind who reflect the divine light.
The divine light, yeah.
Who inspire and uplift.
Who inspire and uplift, right?
And who contribute to a more loving and compassionate world.
And who contribute, exactly.
It's a beautiful cycle, isn't it?
It is a beautiful cycle.
The more we embody love, compassion, and
wisdom, yes.
The more we attract those qualities into our lives.
We attract those qualities, right?
And inspire others to do the same.
And inspire others, exactly.
It's like a ripple effect.
A ripple effect,
Spreading outwards from the center of our being.
Spreading outwards, yes.
Touching and transforming everything in its path.
Touching and transforming, exactly.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in these conversations was Dr. Dinani's discussion of the importance of sincerity.
Much sincerity, yeah.
In our spiritual practice.
And our practice, right.
It's such a simple concept.
It is simple.
But I think it's often overlooked.
I agree.
He emphasized that sincerity is not just about being honest with ourselves and others.
With ourselves and others, yeah.
It's about aligning our intentions with our actions.
Right.
our words with our deeds.
And our deeds.
And our inner world with our outer expression.
And our inner world, yes.
It's about walking our talk.
Walking our talk, exactly.
Living in integrity.
Living in integrity, right? Being true to our values.
Being true.
And then expressing our authentic selves in the world.
And expressing our authentic selves, yes.
Exactly.
And he pointed out that sincerity is the foundation for all other virtues.
Okay.
Without sincerity, our actions become hollow. Our words become meaningless, and our spiritual practice becomes a mere ritual.
It's like we're going through the motions.
Going through the motions, yes.
Checking off boxes.
Checking off boxes, right.
But our hearts aren't fully engaged.
But our hearts aren't engaged.
We're not fully present.
Not fully present, yeah. And we're not fully embodying the principles we claim to uphold.
And not fully embodying, exactly.
And he explained that this sincerity is not something we can force or fake.
We can't force it, no.
It comes from a deep place within.
It does.
From a genuine desire to connect with the divine.
To connect.
And to align ourselves with truth.
And to align, yes.
So it's about cultivating that inner yearning.
That inner yearning.
That longing for something more.
The longing,
That fuels our spiritual practice.
That fuels our practice, yeah.
And inspires us to live a life of purpose and meaning.
And inspires us, exactly.
It's about recognizing that our spiritual journey isn't just about personal gain.
It's not just about gain.
It's about contributing to the creation of a more beautiful and compassionate world.
To a more beautiful world, yes.
And he also talked about the importance of being mindful of our intentions.
Of our intentions,
He said that our intentions shape our actions.
Our intentions shape our actions.
Our intentions shape our actions, right.
And our actions create our reality. And our actions create our reality, yes.
So if we want to create a world of peace,
yeah,
love, and harmony.
And harmony, right?
We need to start by cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
Within ourselves, exactly.
It's like that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Be the change, yes.
It all starts with our own thoughts.
With our thoughts,
beliefs.
And intentions.
And intentions, exactly.
He shared a quote from the Prophet Muhammad that I found very powerful.
Oh, okay.
Actions are judged by intentions, so each man will have what he intended. It's a reminder that it's not just about what we do.
It's not just about what we do.
But why we do it.
Why we do it, right?
Our motivation.
Our motivations.
Our underlying beliefs.
Our underlying beliefs, yes.
They all play a role in shaping our reality.
In shaping our reality, exactly.
That's such a powerful reminder.
It is a powerful reminder.
Because sometimes we can get so caught up
in trying to do the right things. To follow the rules.
To follow the rules,
that we lose sight of the underlying intention.
Yeah, we lose sight, yes.
Exactly.
And this brings us back to the concept of prayer.
Okay.
Because true prayer is not just about asking for things.
Okay.
It's about aligning our intentions with the divine will.
The divine will, okay? Surrendering our ego to a higher purpose.
Surrendering our ego.
And opening ourselves to the possibility
of so when we pray with sincerity, our prayers become a force for good in the world.
A force for good,
They create ripples of love.
Ripples of love, right.
Compassion.
Compassion.
And healing that extend far beyond ourselves.
That extend beyond ourselves, exactly.
Dr. Larijani connected this idea of sincerity to the heart.
To the heart, okay.
He talked about how the heart is the seat of intuition, wisdom.
Wisdom, right.
And compassion.
And compassion, yes.
And that it's like a compass. Like a compass.
Guiding us towards our true north.
Guiding us, yeah.
Our highest potential.
Our highest potential, exactly.
I love that image.
It is a beautiful image.
Because it suggests that we all have this inner guidance system.
We do.
This intuitive wisdom.
Intuitive wisdom, yes.
That can help us to navigate the complexities of life.
To navigate,
And to make choices that are aligned with our soul's purpose.
And to make choices, exactly.
And he explained that when we live from the heart, when we act with sincerity and integrity.
Sincerity and integrity, yeah.
We naturally attract people and experiences that are aligned with our truest selves.
With our truest selves, yes.
It's like our hearts become magnets. Drawing in those who resonate with our values.
Yeah.
And support our growth and evolution.
And support our growth, exactly.
So it's not about trying to manipulate the universe.
It's not about manipulating, no.
Or force things to happen.
Or force things, right?
It's about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life.
With the natural flow, yes.
Trusting that when we're in alignment with our purpose, the universe conspires to support us.
The universe conspires, exactly.
And this brings us full circle back to the concept of Fana.
Back to Fana.
Yet the annihilation of the self.
The annihilation,
The merging with the divine.
The merging, right?
It's the culmination.
The culmination.
Of all these concepts we've been discussing.
Of all these concepts,
Surrender, trust, guidance, sincerity, companionship.
Surrender, trust, guidance, companionship, exactly.
We're all threads that weave together.
They are.
To create this tapestry of unity.
Tapestry, yes.
This experience of oneness where the boundaries between self and other dissolve.
Where the boundaries dissolve, exactly.
It's a homecoming.
A homecoming.
A return to our true nature.
Our true nature, yeah.
As beings of love, light, and interconnectedness.
As beings, exactly.
And it's not a destination.
It's not a destination, no.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
A journey that we're all on, together.
Journey together, right?
You know, it's amazing how much we've been able to cover.
It is amazing.
In this episode.
In this episode, yeah.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of all the wisdom contained.
All the wisdom.
In Rumi's poetry.
In Rumi's poetry,
We've explored prayer.
Yeah.
Night.
Guidance, right?
Companionship.
It's companionship.
Sincerity.
The
nature of the self.
The nature of the self, yes.
And Fana.
And Fana, exactly.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like a dance.
A dance,
Cosmic dance.
A cosmic dance, yeah.
Where all these elements are moving in harmony. Creating a symphony. Of love.
Of love, yeah.
Beauty.
Right.
And truth.
Exactly.
And we're invited to participate in that dance.
We are.
To join the symphony. To become co-creators.
Yes.
In a world that reflects the divine harmony.
That reflects the harmony, exactly.
It's a reminder that we're not passive observers.
We're not passive, no.
In this grand cosmic play.
In this grand play, right?
We have a role to play.
We have a role,
A part to contribute.
A part to contribute, yeah.
A unique gift to offer the world.
A unique gift, exactly.
And as we embrace our roles,
right.
As we express our gifts, as we contribute to the symphony of life,
to the symphony, yes,
we experience a deep sense of fulfillment.
A deep sense,
right?
Of purpose.
Of purpose, yeah.
And of belonging.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is.
Living a life that's aligned with our highest potential. Expressing our authentic selves.
Expressing ourselves, yes.
And contributing to the creation of a more beautiful and compassionate world.
To a more beautiful world, exactly.
You put it beautifully.
Thank you.
I think Rumi captures this so eloquently in his poetry. He does.
Reminding us of the beauty.
Of the beauty, yes.
The love.
The love.
And the wisdom that lie at the heart of existence.
At the heart of existence, exactly.
You know, as we delve deeper into Rumi's work, I'm realizing that his poetry is not just about words on a page.
It's not just words, no.
It's a transmission of energy.
Of energy, yes.
A portal to a deeper reality.
A portal,
An invitation to embark on a journey.
To embark, right?
Of self-discovery.
Self-discovery, yeah.
Transformation.
And transformation, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's like he's offering us a glimpse to the heart of the divine, inviting us to taste the sweetness of love, to experience the bliss of surrender, and to awaken to the truth of our own being.
And to awaken, yes.
And Dr. Dinani highlighted another aspect of our being that is often overlooked, but plays a crucial role in our connection to the divine: the breath.
The breath,
He went beyond the obvious life-sustaining function, breathing, and delved into its spiritual significance.
Right. He talked about how the breath is a constant reminder.
A constant reminder, yeah.
Of our connection to the divine.
Of our connection,
A gift.
A gift, right?
A grace that's given to us moment to moment.
Given to us, yeah.
Sustaining our physical existence. Nourishing our souls.
Sustaining and nourishing, exactly.
He even mentioned that in some spiritual traditions, the breath is seen as a symbol.
As a symbol, yes.
Of the divine spirit.
Of the divine spirit,
The life force that animates all things.
It animates all things, right?
Yes. In Sufism, for example.
Yeah.
There are practices that involve focusing on the breath.
Focusing on the breath,
As a way of connecting.
Connecting,
With the divine presence.
With the divine presence, exactly.
So it's not just about breathing automatically.
No, it's not just automatic.
Unconsciously.
Unconsciously, right?
It's about bringing awareness to the breath.
Awareness, yes.
Recognizing it as a sacred gift.
As a sacred gift.
And using it as a tool.
As a tool, yeah.
For spiritual connection.
For spiritual connection, exactly.
He explained that by becoming more mindful of our breath,
more mindful,
we can cultivate a deeper sense of presence.
A deeper sense.
Of gratitude.
Of gratitude,
And of connection to the divine source.
And of connection, exactly.
It's like we're consciously tapping in to that life force.
Tapping in.
That divine energy.
Divine energy,
With each inhale.
With each inhale, right.
And releasing what no longer serves us with each exhale.
In releasing, exactly.
He even went on to say that the rhythm of our breath can be seen as a reflection.
As a reflection, yeah.
Of the rhythm of the universe.
Of the rhythm, exactly.
Ah, yes. He talked about how there's a natural ebb and flow.
A natural ebb and flow to everything in creation.
A cycle of expansion and contraction.
Of expansion and contraction, right.
Of giving and receiving.
Of giving and receiving,
And that's reflected in the way we breathe.
And that's reflected, yes.
So as we inhale, we're taking in that life force.
Taking in
that divine energy.
Divine energy, right?
And as we exhale, we're releasing.
Releasing, yes.
Letting go,
yes,
letting go, surrendering to the flow of life.
Surrendering, exactly.
It's a beautiful analogy.
It is.
It reminds us that we're not separate from this cosmic dance.
We're not separate now.
We're an integral part of it.
An integral part, yes.
Connected to everything through this invisible thread of breath.
Through this thread, exactly.
And by becoming more aware of that connection,
more aware,
we can tap into a source of power.
A source, yeah.
Of peace.
Of peace, right?
And of wisdom.
And of wisdom,
That's far greater than ourselves.
Far greater, yes.
He also mentioned something about the connection between breath and speech.
Breath and speech, okay.
Suggesting that the way we breathe can actually influence the way we speak.
Influence the way...
The energy we project.
The energy, yes.
And the impact we have on others.
And the impact, exactly.
Right. He said that when we breathe deeply and consciously.
Deeply and consciously, yeah.
Our words carry more weight.
More weight. More power.
More power, right?
And more authenticity.
And more authenticity, yes.
And when our breath is shallow or constricted.
Shallow or constricted,
our words can come across as weak.
As weak, yeah.
Yeah.
Hesitant.
Hesitant, right.
Or insincere.
Or insincere, exactly.
Like the breath is the bridge between our inner world.
The bridge, yes.
And our outer expression.
And our outer expression,
It's the vehicle through which our thoughts, feelings, and intentions.
Thoughts, feelings, and intentions, right.
Take shape and form in the world.
Take shape, exactly.
This makes me think about the importance of pausing.
Of pausing, yes.
Taking a breath before we speak.
Taking a breath,
Especially in challenging or emotional situations.
Especially in those situations, right?
That pause, that moment of conscious breathing.
That moment.
Can help us to center ourselves.
To center ourselves,
To connect with our inner wisdom.
To connect, right.
And to choose our words more carefully.
To choose our words, exactly.
It can prevent us from saying things we regret.
Prevent us, yes.
From reacting impulsively.
From reacting.
And from creating unnecessary conflict or drama.
And from creating conflict, right?
It can also help us to speak our truth more clearly.
More clearly, yes.
More confidently.
More confidently,
And more compassionately.
And more compassionately, exactly.
I love how this conversation about breath expands our understanding of prayer.
Expands our understanding, yes.
It's not just about words or ritual.
It's not just about words, no.
It's about cultivating a state of presence.
A state of presence,
Of awareness.
Of awareness, yeah.
Of connection to the divine source.
To the divine source.
Through something as simple and essential as the breath.
Through the breath, exactly.
Okay.
And this brings us back to Rumi's emphasis on sincerity.
Okay.
Because when we pray with awareness of our breath, our prayers become more heartfelt.
More heartfelt, okay.
More authentic.
More authentic,
And more aligned with our true intentions.
And more aligned, yes.
Yeah.
It's like the breath infuses our prayers with life.
With life,
With energy.
With energy.
With the power of the divine spirit.
With the power, exactly.
And it's not just informal prayer.
It's not just informal prayer.
Yet the breath can connect us to the divine.
To the divine, right?
It's in every moment.
In every moment, yeah.
In every breath we take.
In every breath, exactly.
Precisely.
It's about cultivating that awareness.
Okay.
Throughout the day.
Throughout the day, yeah.
Recognizing the breath as a constant reminder of our connection to the source.
So we can carry that sense of connection, that presence, that presence with us wherever we go.
Wherever we go, yeah.
Whatever we do.
Whatever we do, right?
It's like we're creating a sacred space.
A sacred space,
Within ourselves.
Within ourselves, yes.
A sanctuary where we can always return.
To return, right? To find peace, clarity.
Clarity, yeah.
And guidance.
And guidance, exactly.
You know, one of the things that I find most fascinating about Rumi's poetry is his use of paradox and contradiction.
Paradox and contradiction, okay.
He often presents ideas that seem to be opposites, but are actually two sides of the same coin.
Two sides, yes.
It's like he's playing with our minds.
Playing with our minds,
Challenging us to go beyond our linear, logical way of thinking.
Linear logical, right?
And embrace a more holistic, integrated perspective.
A more holistic perspective, exactly.
He plays with language.
With language,
Concepts.
The concepts, right.
With our expectations.
With expectations, yes.
Challenging us to go beyond our limited understanding.
Beyond our understanding.
And to embrace the mystery of existence. And to embrace the mystery exactly.
One of the paradoxes that Dr. Dinani explored was the idea of wanting and having.
Wanting and having, okay.
He talked about how in the spiritual realm, wanting something can actually be a sign that you already have it.
That you already have it, okay.
Now, that's a tricky one to wrap our minds around, isn't it?
It is tricky.
Because in our everyday experience, wanting something usually means that we lack it.
We lack it, right?
We want what we don't have.
We want what we don't have, yes.
Right.
But Dr. Dinani explained that when it comes to spiritual qualities like love, wisdom, or peace, the very act of wanting them, of yearning for them, can be a sign that those qualities are already present within us, just waiting to be cultivated and expressed. It's like a seed that's planted in the ground. It contains the potential for a mighty tree. But it needs the right conditions, sunlight, water, nourishment, in order to grow and flourish.
So our wanting, our yearning is like the seed.
Like the seed.
And the spiritual practices that we engage in. Prayer. Meditation. Contemplation.
Contemplation, right.
They're like the sunlight.
The sunlight, yes.
Water and nourishment that help that seed to grow.
Yeah, help that seed to grow, exactly.
Exactly. And this process of growth is ongoing.
It is ongoing, yes.
It's not about achieving a state of perfection.
It's not about perfection.
Where we no longer want or yearn for anything.
Where we no longer yearn.
But it's about embracing the journey.
Embracing the journey, yes.
The process of becoming the constant evolution of the soul.
Constant evolution.
And it's about surrendering to the paradox.
Surrendering.
Accepting that we can both want something and have it at the same time.
What?